and shakers, it's Leslie here. Happy Monday. I love Mondays. You know why? Because it just feels like new opportunities are upon us come every Monday. Do you love Mondays? Share below. Say good day if you're here too. Now, what I want to talk today, and there's a little bit of a loaded question I posted last night in the group. Sorry about that. I want to talk a little bit about training load. So what training load does is it gives us performance outcomes, i.e. we achieve our goals, and it helps us stay healthy and minimize injury at the same time. How cool is that? I think it's pretty cool. I think it's really cool. So the thing is, during this fabulous kind of lockdown period, people's training loads potentially changed. So we had a few different comments on my post. So some people's training load has decreased, others has increased, others has stayed about the same, and others are just doing their thing and following their plan. So I just want to say that with a training load, and a lot of you will know some of these bits and bobs, but we're going to have a bit of a chat about it anyway. So we want a moderate to moderately high level of training load, and that is the best way to achieve your goals and stay injury free, right? So moderate to moderately high. The other part of that is that we want to minimize spikes and troughs. So a lot of you would have heard of the 10% rule week to week, and that is generally the case because we want to minimize the peaks and troughs. So I'm just going to try and bear with me here, guys. This is a bit of an experiment. I want to share my screen with you. It's not letting me do it. No idea how to do it. Anyway, doesn't matter. But what I was going to show you, and I'll pop some in the comments below, is my training over the last 6 months, 12 months, and just to show that there are no like massive spikes. And so when we think training load, one thing I really also want to say, it is, for those of you that run, it is a combination of all your load. So it's your running, your walking, your strength training, your cycling, all of that is load on the body. Okay. Now, if we talk about performance factor first, so how training load impacts on our performance. So for those of us that are on a reduced load, when you come back and want to rebuild, you should be taking a minimum of 6 to 8 weeks on a plan to rebuild slowly to your previous levels. Because again, we need to be avoiding spikes, and it's the way we avoid injury. On top of that, we have a definition of load. Okay, so if we go to definition of load, that's actually a combination of kilometers on the legs and intensity. It's a factor. So what's also been happening at the moment is that people are doing like more load in terms of kilometers. And so whilst that's fine on, if you think, oh, cool, I've got really great load, when this is all over, I can just go race. But if you haven't been doing any speed work, you have potential for injury there because you've not trained in that aspect of your training. So one thing I'll say here is kilometers on legs for distance runners right now is a good thing. So don't, I'm not saying that it's a bad thing. It is a good thing, but it is not the only indicator of performance. So you could be putting lots of Ks on your legs and you will be getting your Garmin telling you that you're unproductive. And that's because you're not doing your speed work. You're not doing your anaerobic stuff. You're not doing your VO2 max work, all of that kind of stuff. And if all of these terms are going over your head, drop me a line and I'll help you out there too. Okay, so in terms of the second aspect is minimizing injury. So we have three factors that I want to talk about that impact on injury. The first is load. So again, I mentioned the kilometers and the intensity. So if you are increasing your load suddenly, you are more likely to have an injury. If you are changing your type of load suddenly, you're more likely to increase injury. So you might not get that injury now, but when it comes back to race time and you think, yeah, I can go straight back into it, you're going to be more susceptible to injury. Also, if you're putting more Ks on the legs now, you're going to be more susceptible to an overuse injury. So to help mitigate our load, we have lots of factors, but I'm going to talk about two of them, being recovery and diet. So recovery is a factor of things like sleep, but also self-care, self-massage, foam rolling, warm baths, cold baths, any of those kind of things that you do to recover. And then diet. So obviously foods that are going to give us enough fuel for our load and also help us recover afterwards. So the thing is, if you've increased your load significantly and you're not fueling properly, then you are going to make yourself more susceptible to injury. So these are all factors to take into consideration. And I will be talking about nutrition a little bit later in the week. Okay. So that's pretty much it. Yep. That's all I want to talk to you about today. Manage your load. Okay. Try to avoid FOMO and like jumping on stuff without having a chat to your coach, because we can work with your goals and achieve them, but we want to make sure you don't hurt yourself. If you have a plan, try and stick to it as much as possible. If you don't have a plan right now, getting one is one of the best things to do to maximize performance going forward and also minimize injury. If you have any questions, drop a note below. Oh, and as a very overarching thing, don't forget your strength training. Okay, don't forget your strength training. So if you were going to a gym or to a studio to do your strength training, look for at-home alternatives. And if you have any questions about how to find them, drop a note, and I'm sure that there'll be lots of ideas from the whole crew here because everyone has been so fabulously supportive. All right, see you all tomorrow. Bye.